My name is Andrea Johnson, and today I'm going to provide feedback for a lesson that was taught by fifth grade teacher, Mr. Marcus Williams, and the lesson was on reading strategy, which was making connections. Mr. Williams, of course, isn't here. He isn't in my presence now, so please bear with me as I attempt to do this role play and provide feedback to Mr. Williams. Enjoy. Mr. Williams, thanks for being with us today. First of all, let me say I really enjoyed having the opportunity to watch your lesson on yesterday. You know, we were recording. Very good lesson. I watched it over and over and over again. Do you have anything you want to say about your lesson? Did it go as planned, Mr. Williams? Okay, good, Mr. Williams. I'm glad to see that even though you said it was your good lesson, you know that there are some areas that you can improve with. So that lets me know that you have in mind our vision, which is to continue to climb. And although it was a good lesson, you agree that it could be better. So good. In this meeting today, Mr. Williams, I'm going to give you um, some positives that I was able to pull out from my observation and also some areas for growth, okay? And I don't want you to beat yourself up about those areas of growth because we can all grow. And it's not necessarily weaknesses, but it's areas that I want to be here to support you in, okay? So first of all, let me just let you know that this information, this feedback is gonna focus primarily on minute 6 all the way up to minute 8 of your video, okay? So sit back for a few seconds and let's watch your lesson from 6 minutes to 8 minutes. And even though I'm going to provide this feedback to you, what I want you to do is take a few minutes as you're watching yourself and just jot down some notes about some things that you thought were good, some things that you did that you thought were very good, and some things that you think would need improvement. So go ahead and we're going to take a few seconds and we're going to look at your video from 6 minutes to 8 minutes, from 6 to 8 minutes. Okay, I see you have quite a few notes there, and I'm just going to take a few seconds and I'm going to go over the notes that I have here. First of all, let me say that I love the fact that when I walked into your classroom, I could automatically see that you were prepared, and that is so very important to be prepared. Mr. Williams, the reason that I know you were prepared is because I could see in your classroom where you had already written all of your questions on the board, you had sticky notes on the board, and you had also taken the time before the lesson to place a sticky note on each student's desk, which they would use at a later time in the lesson. Preparation, Mr. Williams, is key. Good job, good job, good job. Please keep up the good work there. The next thing that I pulled from your lesson was the opportunities that you gave students to provide that prior knowledge, to access that prior knowledge. That is so very important. It gets our students thinking about what they already know. And if they can just think about one thing that they know, it does not make them inferior to what the others that may know more than that one thing in the classroom. And they may feel shy or just don't want to open up and compete. If they get that confidence at the beginning of the lesson that they know just one thing, then it's easier for those students to participate in that lesson. So it's very important for you to allow your students to access that prior knowledge. Good job there, Mr. Williams. Now, here's my most favorite part of the lesson, those real life connections. Those are so very important. It was so many times as a student that my teacher had me to do certain things in class, and I never understood when, where, or how I would ever use these things. So that is why I am a huge advocate for those real life connections. They're so, 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 so important. And let me tell you exactly what you did. You gave the students a brief introduction at the beginning of your lesson, and you told them who you were and how you got to the point or the place where you are now, okay? And then later on in your lesson, when you read the book about Birmingham, in which a family moved from one place to the other, you made a real life connection. Now, in your lesson, you explained that connection as a text to real life connection. But that real life connection, once again, like I said, is so very important, okay? You help that student to be able to see that some of the same things that happen inside of our storybooks, whether they're fiction or nonfiction, can actually happen in real life. And it's actually that real life connection, Mr. Williams, that help our students to relate with what's going on inside of the classroom. So that's very important. So just an overview, I love the fact that you were prepared, you allow students to access that prior knowledge, and you made real life connections. Good job. Keep climbing. Keep up the good work there. Now, let's get to the next part of our meeting, the reason that we're here today, okay? Some areas of growth, and these are suggestions. If I can be of any assistance in any way, please do not hesitate to call. I'm free after school. I'm free before school. I'm free sometimes during the day. Shoot me an email. I am here to help you. Okay. I would like to see from you, Mr. Williams, more explicit models of what you're doing. In class, there was a time where you used dialogue from the book. And in that dialogue, you wrote the actual dialogue on the board. You made a reference to the page number where the dialogue was taken from. But what I would like to have seen you done there is not only just given a concrete model, but also the word dialogue. Now, I assumed, Mr. Williams, that dialogue is something that you had talked to the students about in a previous lesson. Well, that's good, but I wanted to see more of the students interacting and showing me that they understand exactly what dialogue is. So my suggestion for you there would have been to allow the students to just kind of, for you to throw out the word dialogue and just kind of allow those students, Mr. Williams, to talk about amongst each other what dialogue is. At this point, you could have had a student-led discussion about dialogue, because student-led discussions are always rich with information. Students can learn from each other, and it allows them to interact with their peers. So if you would have just given them the word dialogue and tell them to take a few seconds to talk about the word dialogue, you could have done a quick assessment of how many students understand what dialogue is, how many students do not understand what dialogue is. And at that time, once you got an idea of how many students had an understanding of dialogue, then that was your cue to move on to the next stage, which is where you're going to give the explicit model. Now, like I was saying, you wrote the dialogue from the text on the board, okay? And then you said that at a later time, they would get the dialogue from the book and give you the page number where they got that information from. Here's what I would suggest there, Mr. Williams. After they get the understanding of dialogue, you give them a model using the I do, we do, you do method. You could have turned to a specific page in your textbook and had those students to work together in groups, because remember that peer interaction, once again, is very important, but to work together in groups to pull out some dialogue, okay? And you're doing it together. You're facilitating, helping those students to pick out that dialogue, okay? And you're talking about it as a group. And then together, you can go to a page, or you can maybe pull up an article, because I saw at the front of your classroom you had a projector. Pull up a newspaper article. And again, that's an example of another real life connection. But pull up a newspaper article in where they actually have dialogue. And then together, you look at the board, and as a class, you pick up some dialogue there. And then to further that lesson, to provide that concrete example, Mr. Williams, you give the students a chance to go into their textbooks and find dialogue. And they're going to do this individually, okay? Because remember, they've already had an example with their classmates. They have had an example, with you, with their classmates. And then here's their chance to find that dialogue individually. And this should be your final assessment, in where you're able to see exactly who understands what dialogue is and who does not understand what dialogue is. So remember, one area of growth that I have noticed again is your need to give a more explicit or more concrete model. Also, your second area of growth is information pertaining to the levels of questions that you're asking. And I don't know if you've heard this, but this is some research that I did when I was in school, and I'm going to share this information with you. And it's a quick chart. And this information focuses on depth of knowledge. For short, we say DOK. Okay, and your DOK levels go from DOK level 1 to DOK level 4, and this is basically the level of questions that you're asking. And when I say the level of question, for instance, one question that you asked was for the students to give context about what is happening in the story. And then Sam, if I'm not mistaken, Sam was the little guy in the red shirt that was playing with his hands throughout the lesson. Sam just gave you a short answer question. He said that in Birmingham, it's nice or it's fun or whatever it was that Sam said. But Sam didn't give you explicit information that helped you as a teacher to understand that, hey, Sam knows what he's talking about. Sam gave you just a vague answer because Sam was not prepared. Sam was not paying attention. So when you pull that popsicle stick with Sam's name, it caught him off guard. So he couldn't give you that information that you needed to hear. If you were to use the depth of knowledge chart, it would help you to develop your questions. Now, this is one thing, Mr. Williams, that I can say was kind of haphazard. You did not prepare the questions that you would ask the students beforehand. And this is very important too, because that allows the students to give you explicit information about what they know, about what they don't know. So once again, I want you to look at the levels or the types of questions that you're asking. And here, Mr. Williams, is your depth of knowledge chart. And I can go over this with you at a later time, but I want you to take a few seconds or a few minutes or out of your day, maybe when you get a 30-minute break, to read the levels of questions. And then once you look at those questions, you will know exactly how to word those questions for your students so that they can give you a more explicit answer, okay, Mr. Williams? So, once again, I want to reiterate that you are doing an awesome job. Remember, I am here to help you, so I'm available. You can either email me, you can come to my office, whatever the case may be. I'm here to help. I'm here to assist. And while together as a team, you and I, Mr. Williams, and the rest of the staff here, we're working so hard to help our students to climb. Remember, us as professionals, we have a job of climbing also, and we're going to be the best that we can be, Mr. Williams, so that our students can be the best that they could be. So here is the information that I have provided to you. It's in written form. I want you to sign here, and we're going to keep this on file. I'm going to come back and do a few more observations just to make sure that you've taken notes and you've used the information that was given to you in this meeting. So once again, Mr. Williams, thank you. You're appreciated. If I can be of any assistance, please feel free to contact me. Awesome job, and together we will climb. Thank you.